Okay, yes, we want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon or this evening, or sorry, this morning, depending on what time zone you're in if you're on the West Coast. Today, we're going to be discussing about unlocking GEO and AEO growth for Drupal. Before we jump into it, we just want to remind everyone to please stay muted throughout this. If you have any questions, we will be monitoring the chat both on the LinkedIn Live and here within the Zoom if you're in there. We will answer your questions as we become aware of them. If I could, if anyone could just either give me a thumbs up or a reaction in either place just to make sure audio is coming across okay, it would be greatly appreciated. Okay, got
Yes,
one
audio
thumbs up.
coming.
Okay, we are good. Thank you. And again, this is being recorded, so we will be sending out recorded content after this is completed and everything is wrapped up. So again, please stay on mute, use the chat for your questions, and then we'll dive into it. Okay, if we can go to the next slide.
Yes. I'm just setting up the stores. Okay. All right.
Okay, excellent. So I'm joined by Satish. He's the co-founder with 16 years in the digital strategy. And my name's Sean. I'm head of sales with over a decade of experience in CMS and experience design. We both focus on helping brands build credibility and user-focused journeys. And
Hi
then
guys,
before
nice meeting you.
Satish, so I'm going to kick this off and then pass it off to Satish later throughout in the webinar. You can go to the next one.
Yeah.
We want to remind everyone we're going through some rebranding. So we used to be Drupal partners, but we're now Binary Works. So please get familiar with that. And then we have a busy agenda for this afternoon. We're going to start and look at what the problem is, the shift that is happening now, break down what GEO and AEO are, look at Drupal's hidden advantage for those, give you a GEO playbook for Drupal and also an AEO one. Then we're going to go through some technical enablers with Drupal. We're going to measure what matters, give you a 14-day implementation sprint, and then review at the end with some key takeaways and some calls to action. Okay. So we're going to dive in. And like I said, if you do have any questions, let's try to keep this interactive. So feel free to please put those in the chat and we will address them as we become aware. So right now, the core problem is simple. Your prospects are no longer just clicking links. They're asking AI. And if you aren't in the AI generated answers, you effectively don't exist for that user. You're just being completely overlooked. Okay, we can go to the next one. So yeah, so this shift, it's happening now 1,000 times of a day, whether you notice it or not. So it's happening whether it's a small business grants, charities, or real estate. Users are looking for direct, authoritative answers. Uh, so this is a discovery and interpretation problem. It's not just a traditional SEO issue. So the ways of the past that you know that you used to do the tweak sites to move up in the SEO rankings, it's very different than what you need for AEO and GEO. So think of it this way, you're a student and you're asking your AI assistant what universities offer online data science programs. So if your university isn't cited in the AI response, you're lost to that lead before they even saw your your site. So now, like we said, a shift is starting to happen. If you can go to the next one. So the shift now, we're moving away from that traditional SEO, and which used to focus on keywords and clicks, and we're going to GEO, generative engine optimization, and AEO, answer engine optimization. Okay. So in the past, you fought for those top placements. So you wanted to be one of those first 3 blue links that showed up. That was your authority. It was the SEO, or you were buying space to get there. Today, you're fighting to be the cited source inside of ChatGPT or Gemini's responses. So look at these stats and what they're showing. 64% of searches now generate 0 clicks. However, there's a silver lining because the content cited by the AEO sources, they're seeing 3.2 higher conversion engagement. So what this means is you might not be getting as much traffic through your site, but if you are appearing in the AEO and GEO, the traffic that you're getting, it's converting over 3 times higher than your previous traffic. So the key insight with that is 70% of organizations are already beginning to invest in these strategies, and you want to be an early adopter. We're going to dive into that in a little bit. I do want to take a quick pause here. Are there any questions? Give it a second for them to come through. Okay. And while we're waiting, we can go on to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay. So we asked Drupal teams, like, what are they seeing now? And here's some common things people across Drupal are seeing. So there's traffic volatility. Like we said, it's unpredictable. You're not getting the organic traffic patterns that you used to get because you need to be appearing in those AEO and GEO sources to get the traffic coming through. So you could be noticing a decrease in your traffic. Also, SEO, it plateaued in the past with the rankings. They were stable. And however, now you might be seeing your traffic declining because this switch is happening. In the past, you might have seen how you could be seeing now high bounce rates from content heavy pages. Users now, their attention span is shortening. So they might be getting on your page. They want to get in there, get to the answer, and get out. If they're going to pages where there is a lot of content that they have to weed through, they might be going to another site where it's parsed down for them and easier to digest with less digging and less effort. Or, there could be poor internal search engagement within your current site and its structure. And so if that happens, users are struggling to find the precise information. And again, users today, their attention spans are decreasing. They want the answers now. They want it fast, and they want products or services that can be predictive for them and anticipate what they're going to ask, what they're looking for, and surface those results to them. The ways of it being done in the past, it's changed. It's no longer Google searches, looking through multiple sites, determine the authority, bouncing between different reference pages, comparing information now. People expect the answers to be kind of spoon-fed through them through their AI assistants. Okay. And let's go to the next slide and we'll look at why Drupal sites are especially exposed. So it's all about discovery friction. So while Drupal is powerful, it's inherently complex and often creates discovery friction. AI engines struggle to interpret the true intent of the content when it's buried in the complex structures. As humans, we know how to read and interpret and navigate those structures, but those AI bots, those crawlers, they not be able to make those assumptions and read the information properly. Because again, we said it was built for humans, not for machines. Most Drupal sites are historically built for that human navigation, using menus, breadcrumbing, scanning the information, rather than the knowledge structure, the way it's set up between the entities and the relationships that AI necessarily requires. And there's also interpretation problems. There's no longer just traditional SEO problems. There's discovery and interpretation problems that are happening with the AI. So if an AI engine can't parse your data, your organization remains invisible to thousands of daily AI queries. And that creates like a leaky bucket analogy. Typical Drupal characteristics can act like a leaky bucket where valuable content exists, but its impact is lost because the AI cannot plug into it to find the clear answer to surface. And why act now? As I said before, those first movers, if we can go to the next slide, there we go. We're currently in a critical window where AI models are establishing their citation patterns. By optimizing today, your organization can become the default authoritative source that AI engines rely on for their specifics or for your specific sector. And it avoids systematic exclusion. Competitors are already moving to optimize for these engines. Organizations that wait will eventually find their content systematically excluded from the AI-generated answers, making it harder to regain that visibility later. And it's the death of the click. So relying solely on traditional SEO is no longer viable long-term strategy because 64% of searchers now generate 0 clicks, like we mentioned on the previous slide. So you need to pivot to being the answer within the search interface itself and not just appearing within that search. So the strategic disadvantage. It's not the future, this is not a future trend. It's a shift that's happening now. Ignoring this creates a widening competitive disadvantage for you that becomes harder to reverse over time. The longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be to bridge the gap as that gap continues to increase day by day. So a real world example of this would be imagining users asking AI, what's the latest commercial real estate trend for tech startups? If a competitor has already optimized their content to be the citation magnet, a quotable status, the AI will consistently lead with their data. Even if your site has better information, if it isn't structured for AI interpretation, you become invisible to the thousands of users asking that specific question daily. Okay, and now we'll look at what GEO and AEO are. So it's important to distinguish the differences between these two. AEO, answer engine optimization, it's about the direct answer being the direct answer for voice search and featured snippets, whereas GEO, generative engine optimization is about being the cited source that AI engines like Perplexity and Claude use to build their responses. So if a user asks, how do I apply for a grant? AEO aims to provide them with live step-by-step search results, where GEO aims to ensure that AI says, according to your organization, the best way to apply is. So it's making more of a connection there. Okay. And then these also have different targets. So it's not a replacement for SEO. These are the evolution of SEO. So AEO, it's going to rely on a direct Q&A structure, while GEO requires entity-rich authoritative content. So to remain viable in 2026, your strategy must include both of these. So an AEO tactic would be like a definition box at the top of a page to win a snippet. And a GEO tactic would be pushing original research that other sites link to, increasing your content authority score in the eyes of the AI. Okay, and the next one, so how the AI engine actually works.
There is a question, Sean.
Oh, okay.
The question is, what is entity rich? Basically, the structural content. What I mean is like um, if you have your website, there is to be a master entity. Like on top of that, there'll be a subcategory, and there'll be another subcategory. So this is called the entity structure we call. So by default, Drupal is an entity structure kind of organize the content. So that's what we mean entity rich. And that is the need of these AI engines because AI engines generally try to correlate all the contents and create an decision or create a knowledge based on that information so that the structured based content is highly critical for it. So that's what we mean by entity rich.
Great question.
Mhm.
Thank you. And that's a good kind of transition too, as you were mentioning it being entity rich, like machines, like we were saying, they don't read like humans. So that
Mhm.
entity and how that structure is set up, the structure is going to matter more now going into AEO and GEO because AI discovery, it's not the same as a Google ranking. So AI is going to evaluate your content based on semantic clarity, entity recognition, and cross-source validation, meaning it checks if other authoritative sites agree with what you're saying. So an example is if your site claims to be a leader in sustainable tech, but your metadata and internal links only mention software development, the AI will see a lack of semantic clarity and may not cite you for sustainability cues.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Right.
now I'm going to turn it over to Satish. He's going to go into Drupal's hidden advantages.
All right. There is another question. Entity can be any topic you're writing about. It could be a service, product, organization, job, anything you can define. Yeah, it can be anything, but how do you structure your content? It can be an product, organization, it can be anything, but not person because person becomes Uh, even if it is going to be like a profile, you're building your website, then person can also be an entity. So it can be anything, right? Any other questions? All right. All right. Let me share. Okay. Thanks, Sean. So let me start with this. So the next one is on how Drupal is going having an hidden advantage with the new need of AI visibility. So let me just pin mine. Okay. Okay. As you're aware that by default, Drupal has the structured content architecture, which means the content's semantic markup. It has a clear taxonomies, which AI understands, and it has also have these kind of different kind of views kind of format, which is what these tools, mission systems would be reading. So views, taxonomies, content types, these are an highly critical structure and CMS should have. Uh, I think Drupal by default has it, and schema.org integration, meta tags and JSON. So it is already having the basic for SEO structure. It also has. Even if you take GEO, they also want this structured content, schema markup, all these things. So it also has that. And most importantly, from Drupal 7, it is becoming API first capability. So any content can be shared through APIs. So Drupal is well positioned to be make your site visible for AEO and GEO. So these are some of the advantages of Drupal for AEO, and some of the common uh, Drupal visibility gaps. Like for visibility is if by default Drupal doesn't force entity clarity on your site. So if you are making any uh, wrong change in the entity structure or anything that you feel the content is not the right place, you can still do that, which AI can't identify it. So that's poor. If there is any poor visibility or poor entity clarity is there, Drupal system doesn't have any system to block that. And thin answer style content. Drupal is basically an CMS, not an Q&A pattern type for many content types. But these systems are looking for many Q&A kind of contents. So that is again a need. Though it has some modules that supports it, FAQ sections, but it is not heavily Q&A pattern kind of content. It is doesn't have, and a weak semantic structure. Uh, the missing schema markups in many pages, many content types you can see in Drupal, and Drupal's internal search is really poor. Database search is not going to work out. So the search and discovery friction in Drupal by default is a pain point, and also the fragmented taxonomy. Like i- if you create the category properly, it is fine. Otherwise, the inconsistency in categorization can also impact your visibility, A visibility. And also the other important thing is the citation needs and the citation markups. Those kind of modules by default Drupal doesn't have, because for AI visibility you need lot of citations, and you need to mention lot of citations. So that easy exchange of citations are not a possibility for Drupal right now by default. And the other important thing is internal discovery also matters these days, because weak internal search often signals that there is a structural ambiguity, the contents are not clear, or the content is not having the right information. So internal discovery also matters these days. So that is an area like Drupal has to fix. Some of the products out there in the market, like Algolia, Conversion Box, helps in improving your internal discovery. But if there is a weak search engine or product or content discovery is there, that again will impact your discovery AI visibility also. And the AI search revolution. So if you look around, many of the modules that I said earlier, like most of the common pitfalls of AI visibility with Drupal is mostly man-made if the navigation or the entity structure is not clearly defined. Those are the things you will say. So it is basically an misalignment of the strategy rather than the systems issue. So most Drupal sites, if you look around, they are built for navigations, optimized for keywords, and it is built for humans, not for machines in any way. But AI engines require all the content to be structured in Q&A format, and the content should be interconnected so that it can give weightage and citations. So there is a gap in that. It is, again, you can achieve those things with Drupal site, but with proper planning and proper structure change, you can achieve those things. So as I said, Drupal sites are built for human, not for AI engines. So let's take a look around how you can make your site, Drupal site, to be GEO friendly and also AEO friendly. Both are kind of interlinked together, whereas as Sean said, GEO is more for chat GPTs, perplexities, for answer engines to respond. For AEO is more like the citations when you see in the AI overview. Um, those kind of citations is what AEO. Even in the Google search results, there is some kind of FAQ sections would be there. Like each query you ask, there'll be some kind of frequently asked questions. Those things again is AEO. So we'll see one by one how you can go after these kind of AEO and GEO with the existing Drupal. So for GEO, these are the major four pillars for better experience for GEO on your site: authoritative, structured content, entity clear structure, and references. So the first one, the entity first content structure. So what do you mean by, as I said earlier, like let's take one of the example as scenario is an NGO site, and you're talking about clean water. That's it, and you don't refer any previous page or in a subcategory. Nothing if you have not mentioned it. This page will be considered as a noise by these answer engines. Instead of that, if you have structured the content as water app within that program, within that project, within that important metrics, and if you have written about the clean water, the AI systems will understand the need of this page, and if it has been referenced in multiple places, it will be again give more weightage. So any content you create have a clear entity structure and have a topic, subtopic, specific content. Those things are important. And Drupal by default supports that kind of entity relationship. And you can have contextual clarity and compatibility. All these things you can bring it. So try to have an entity first content architecture. Right. The second tactic is the citation magnet content. So, any questions you're writing about, or any information that you're sharing about your product or anything, try to get as many citations. If you're collecting information from a different source, try to add the source in the website. So, try to add citations. So, for example, one of the scenario is if there is a government policy update, and there has to be a web page. Like you could see that if there is a government policy update with a 47 page, if it is buried on your site, nobody is going to see it. Instead of that, if you have a web page with 67% reduction processing time, kind of an heading with the clear citations for all those things, that would be good. So try to give more quotable data and clear source of data as much as possible from where the content is taken. You can mention those kind of things. That's tactic two. And the tactic three is more around try to create more question clusters. So try, if there are any questions that your customer is going to have around your product, try to answer those questions on each page, on whatever page they're landing in. Like you can also even ask these questions to ChatGPT. What are the top 20 questions my customers would be asking? Ask those questions and try to see you are answering those questions on the website. Try to create the question cluster. Don't try to answer all the question in one single question. Try to have multiple questions and answer them and link them together so that the system can understand it properly. And that is clearly possible with Drupal with the FAQ content type. And you can also clearly interlink with different questions. All these things are pretty easily possible with a Drupal site. And again, this is one of the scenario like a real estate website with ranks for commercial trends, but it is not getting mentioned in AI. So why? The reason is AI need more like a conversational kind of questions, like what are the real estate trends now? How will this affect? These trends can affect my real estate value. So those kind of conversational questions, if you have, those are the things that will be useful in for AI engines. And the next one is the fourth tactic. It is the freshness signal. As like SEO, always having a last updated date and time is important, because the systems, AI systems also crawls the site multiple times, and they look for fresh signals. The AI engines are now very smart. They know if any information that is pretty old is not even reliable anymore. It can be reliable if there is some mentions, but otherwise it's not reliable. So it always look for more relevant informations, fresh contents. So try to update the content as much as possible. If you're not changing or there is nothing to update, at least try to change the date, uh, so that it will become more fresh, and it will signal the systems about there are some changes on the content that they have before that they crawled last time. So uh, you can see one of the most of the iReds program, if you look around, if they have updated it, like one classic example is they have updated it in March 2022, and those pages are not even visible today in the AI. The reason is those contents are outdated, and so after we recommended them to update the contents, the page date and title, time and everything, those contents have started regularly appearing in the AI signals. So the fifth strategy is more around the cross reference. As I said, just mentioning one content and having citation is important, but if you can get cross references across different pages on your site, or if you are getting referred by some other sources across the web, that again adds a value and trust on your brand. And again, that's what signals the AI engines to rank your site better. So try to get that kind of cross references as much as possible. One of the classic example you could see, finance institution markets report that is being cited by zero sources versus a competitor who has cited it by 15 plus blogs. The competitor will be ranked more than uh, the parent company, which there is no citation. So try to get as many cross references possible. It is the same kind of concept called backlinks, which we used to do with SEO. Uh, the same thing we can do it also for currently with the for AI overview. Any questions? All right. So the next question is on the next topic is on the AEO playbook for Drupal. So, so if you look around the AEO is, as I said, it is the mentions or citations in the Google AEO view or voice search. Basically, it is like we call the position zero. So responses that are very direct that Google is looking for, and you should be responding to those questions. So we generally recommend, like for example, one of the structure is what is a capstone project? If you can answer this for that question, a direct response on the website, those kind of questions and the answer will appear in Google search results and also on the AI overview. So try to create those kind of questions with 50 to 40 to 60. Don't make it more than that. 40 to 60 word responses you have to create and responded to it. So you'll appear as your responses. It will get appeared on the search results. So if there is any supporting details, follow the direct answers. So try to have the structured format for those responses. So the first tactic is clear answer blocks. Have question answer blocks. Try to create as many small snippet, 40 to 60 word featured snippets. Implement the FAQ product schema from Drupal. Those things will have an direct those things should be crawlable by the Google and all the crawlers. And in our Drupal, custom paragraph type with question and answer field is what we recommend. It auto generates FAQ page schema. So that's add the question and answer blocks is the tactic one. And the second one is add definition boxes. Again, it is like if somebody is looking for any products and what is this one means, those kind of definition about of a product or services you can explain, and those things should also again fall within the 40 to 60 words range. You can add those things and place it under. It should be at the top. It should not be way bottom. Those kind of section boxes. So custom definition field type is again possible with Drupal. You can add that. The auto schema and feature snippets will automatically appear. The other tactics is for comparison and list schema. So basically, when somebody is trying to buy your product, you will obviously look to compare your product with another one. So you'll be searching on your website or in the Google, hey, whether this one is better or that one is better, or ask questions like why this training is taking longer time. So those kind of questions people will ask. So you can create those comparisons and the possible reasons, all these things you can write. And by default, Drupal has a table field that helps in comparing the products side by side or services side by side. So Drupal has the table field type that can help you in creating these comparison charts. And the fourth tactics is process and how to structure. So basically, it's how to use your products, how to set up things, all these kind of questions people will generally ask in Google. So it would be better you can answer those, how to use the product, how to uh, unbox it, all these kind of products or videos you can create and upload it in your website so that when somebody is asking Google, your answers automatically appears at the top of the answer Google AI overview. So try to understand those things and start appearing. If you don't do it, somebody will be writing those how to questions and they'll be getting the direct link from the Google to their website. All right. So let me jump on to the Drupal technical side. So there are some questions. Uh, does media coverage help tactic? For example, university often gets picked up by news outlet. Does that help the GEO? Definitely, it helps the GEO. If you are getting mentioned, that is good. And but it again, depending on the topic also, you should be mentioned around the topic. In general, for example, University of Georgia might be covered for a news around some unknown bad stuff. It's not going to be useful for AEO view. If they are going to say something around the topic like entrepreneurship for students, and University of Georgia is getting mentioned in media, and there is a page entrepreneurship for students, and it is getting really mentioned and cited by the media outlets. It makes sense. In general, if you get mentioned, it is going to bring the brand authority, but doesn't for the topic also is matter. So that's how it works. How do we reconcile human experience? That's how the question. That's the answer to that question. The second question is, how do we reconcile the user experience of human user when we optimize content for the AI crawlers? Again, that is a real challenge for many users now, because these AI engines need everything to be Q&A kind of format, and it needs to be structured like a bytes. And for user experience, it should be clean with less content. That's how it is. So it is balance. We have to do that. That's how it is. There is no right and wrong approach. Uh, yeah, if you user experience, at least for the traffic generating web pages, you have to use these kind of answer bytes or Q&A kind of design. For other page designs, you can follow the human experience as the main important thing. But that's how it is. It is the same problem with SEO. Like there will be keyword stuffing, all these things people do. It will really impact the user experience, but that is what these SEO tools were looking for at that time. So the same thing there. There's another question. Are optimization strategies for AEO and GEO compatible? Do you need to decide which one is important for your site? It is again compatible. Both are needed for a site. The only thing what we are saying is GEO is for AI answer engines, the Gen AI answer engines, and the AEO is more for these Google responses. Like when you ask a question in Google, you see the citations or kind of a FAQ responses that you see at the bottom, those kind of things. So, many ways it takes the same thing, but GEO needs more citations, cross-referencing, brand guidelines, those things it requires. And GEO generally doesn't respond the way that you have written. It takes the information and builds the knowledge engine and then respond to it. But AEO is whatever you have written, it will be the same response that will appear on the Google or AI responses or even voice search. If you have any specific question and if you have a response, and it will those responses would be way direct as you have written on your website. So yeah, good questions. Right, any other questions? Right. So the Drupal technical checklist, as I said, it has the schema.org modules like meta tag, schema.org, and JSON files, RDF module. All these are by default it has. And try to have the content architecture like paragraphs with structured content blocks, entity modules, taxonomy for clear hierarchies. All these things are important. You can also have this kind of AI readiness score where we look around the 20 plus pages with at least we need to have 20 plus pages with proper schema and have fresh contents that is updated in less than last 6 months. Q&A answer patterns, entity relationships clearly defined. We can create the AI readiness score to see how your current Drupal site is. But these are important. At least 20 plus pages on your site should have a proper schema. So the other important thing, the hidden value impact. So when you say the AI visibility, in many cases, those visibility will be directly not converted into traffic. People will be influenced by the responses by these AI answer engines. So you will be appearing on the responses from ChatGPT. They'll understand your brand and they'll come direct to your website, or they'll be making some decisions based on the responses that you have provided. So these things will have will not have a direct traffic connections, but it will have a big impact on the conversions and the brand value you have. All these things would be there. So there are not clear direct revenue impact you could see, but people are saying there is a lot of traffic come direct nowadays. And some places they are saying they are being referred from ChatGPT, uh, but it is an hidden revenue impact, but it will definitely make an influence on the uh, decision makers when they are searching about your for your product or services. So the next one is the measuring what matters. So as I said, there is no refer clear thing. Now you can start tracking with UTM parameters for ChatGPT, Perplexity, and AI overviews. Uh, See how, because at least ChatGPT, at least Perplexity is giving direct link to the web pages from where they have taken responses. AI overviews giving it. So start tracking those things. And also now there are tools called conductor.com that mention tracks about your brand, how many times your brands are getting mentioned or cited properly. So the brand mention monitoring can be done these days with these tools. Brandvisibility.com and conductor.com, you can look around these products. They monitor your brand, how it is getting mentioned by these tools, and also content performance, which pages are getting more used for responses. Those things is also getting mentioned. So content performance you can also start tracking. And some of the strategic risk of ignoring this is if you don't focus on AI visibility on these things, in next 2 years, obviously everybody knows there'll be a 60 to 70% traffic drop in organic, and there'll be a slow decline, and people who are have already reached to the top of the AI visibility will be very hard to replace. So that is again an important thing. There'll be traffic would be unpredictable, all these things. And and even if you're not uh, giving importance to these AEO and GEO, that the authority of your brand, the brand that is getting mentioned in the AEO will get more advantage, and people will perceive them as the brand rather than you guys. So try to take advantage of these things. And if you go act now, you'll be the first mover in your space. Try to take advantage of it rather than if you wait for some more time, you will lose the momentum. And it is again pretty simple. If you guys are already doing SEO, things are not that difficult. You can easily implement that. There's a 14 days implementation sprint we do. As we said, we try to run queries around what are the top 20 questions your prospects will ask, and document them, screenshot how your competitors are coming, identify those questions, and you can what are the opportunities you see in those questions. And once you identify those things, you can rewrite your web pages and implement those questions with schema markup. We do all these things. Uh, in pretty much, you can do it in 14 days, a proper restructure and proper content creations. But the most time-consuming process is going to be the citations. You need to get to be cited by other third-party sites. So that again will take time, but on the content side, you can do it in 14 days. So this is again the practical steps we do. Audit your existing steps. What are the identify the gaps, and if you do that, if you also see if the taxonomy is very consistent, is the category structure is clearly defined or not, identify these things, or if it is an issue, fix those things, and improve the semantic markup. And if there is Q&A structure is not properly designed, redesign those pages, reduce the content fragmentation, and align the pages with the user intent for real questions rather than keywords. So that's what you have to understand. For AEO, you need to optimize your pages for questions, your customer questions, not just for keywords. So some of the common pitfalls to avoid is buying tools to fix your taxonomy. You don't need to do that. There are pretty much you can use AEO, AI tools to ChatGPT to fix it. Don't personalize now. That is not needed of anything. All it needs is Q&A kind of section question types. PDF, those things it cannot crawl down. So try to make it uh, as a website crawlable content. The other important thing, don't measure your traffic by the just measure traffic and page views as the old method of tracking your website performance. That's not going to work. The new method is going to be the conversions, number of times your brands are getting mentioned. So yeah. So the key takeaway is obviously you need to approach the GEO quick wins, the entity first architecture, citations. What are the citations you are getting? Question clusters, freshness signals, cross references, all these things you can create. And the AEO quick ones is create Q&A FAQ schema kind of blocks, definition boxes, comparison tables, how to set up all these, how to do guides. And these are some of the modules we highly recommend: meta tags, paragraph, JSON API, path auto, simple XML sitemaps. There are many other Drupal modules that support these AEO and GEO, but these are some most important modules we recommend. So the other key takeaway is AI search is fundamentally way different than the traditional SEO, but GEO is more on the getting your answers more responsible and will be on the AI answer engines. AI is as the answer. So you need both. Drupal's content structure as an intent advantage. And you can start by taking an audit and optimize the pages or at least one user type kind of things. Don't do everything at once. Take one department in your organization, do that, and do for the next department later. So yeah. So this is how we are moving towards. People are going to discover about your brand and everything from the AI answer engines, and they are going to read about it. They are going to come to your site. People are not going to use your menus as often, but people lead them with the intent they are coming to your site and what kind of questions they are coming to your site. Try to lead them with that. So That's what the future discovery is going to be. So, if you guys are interested, we would be happy to give you a quick demo around, do a quick audit. So let me share you guys an free audit link where you can take an advantage of filling out the form. Let me share that link. Just give me a minute. So you can, people who have attended can take advantage and see how your contents are discoverable. So take advantage of this free audit. So we'll look into your site, see what are the brand mentions you have, and if your content type is clear, the content structure is clear, all these things we analyze and give you a report. And those reports are free. You can implement on your own, or if you want, our team can implement it for you. There is another question. Can you provide links for the Drupal sites that are currently employing this? Uh, Okay, I can, some of the Drupal sites that are currently employing these things, let me send it to you after this email, after this webinar, because those are client sites. I don't know whether I can share that in public, but yeah, I can send that, or I can check with them and send those things to you after this webinar. Sorry. But as I said, it is a free readiness assessment is there. Try to take that, see if your site is really scalable for the AEO or GEO, and you can at least have an idea. If not now, at some point you can implement it. So the other question is proof that these techniques actually work. So that's a good question. So I think it is more on the if you have a tool, because there is no it is how these tools are working right now. Maybe it would be better if I can send you guys some links with the Drupal sites that these things are crawling. Maybe I can check with my clients around that, and I can send when I'm sending this presentation to you guys. I'll try to send that, but even you can ask these questions to the AI answer engines about how they see your site, what kind of contents they wanted. Uh, the most recommended techniques would be around they wanted more Q&A kind of question types. This would be the responses. So yeah, but I can definitely send some sample work proofs so that you can take a look around it. Any other questions? All right, sounds good. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. As I said, I'll try to get the Drupal links for you. You can take a look around the content structure and everything. We'll try to connect with you for another webinar. Thank you, guys. Sean, do you want to add anything?
No, thank you, Satish. I think you covered everything. It's very informative.
Thank you, guys.